CompTIA A plus Core 1 Complete Training Course. Exam Objective 4.2. Summarize aspects of client-side virtualization. Hypervisor. We're on the brink of wrapping up our exploration of Domain 4 in the CompTIA A plus Core 1 exam objectives. But hold on to your hats because we've got one more exciting topic to cover: hypervisors. Now, you might recall that we encountered the term hypervisor in our studies of desktop virtualization and then again when I covered client-side virtualization. Well, that is because a hypervisor is the software that makes virtualization possible. A hypervisor is a software layer that allows multiple operating systems to run on a single physical hardware platform simultaneously. It accomplishes this by dividing up the computer's resources, like its processing power, memory, and storage, so that different programs or operating systems can run on it without getting in each other's way. Now that we have a solid definition of hypervisor, we will move on to learning about the two main types: the Type 1 hypervisor and the Type 2 hypervisor. Type 1 hypervisors, also known as bare metal hypervisors, operate directly on the host hardware without requiring an underlying operating system. They have direct access to physical resources, offering high performance and efficiency, which makes them suitable for enterprise environments and data centers where virtualizing servers is common practice. In contrast, Type 2 hypervisors, also known as hosted hypervisors, run as applications on top of conventional operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. They rely on the underlying operating system to manage hardware resources and provide services to virtual machines. Type 2 hypervisors are often used for client-side virtualization. The primary distinction between Type 1 and Type 2 hypervisors lies in their architecture and how they interact with hardware, with Type 1 offering superior performance and scalability for larger-scale virtualization deployments, while Type 2 is more suitable for smaller-scale or individual virtualization needs. After you install a hypervisor, you can open up its user interface and begin to create, start up, shut down, and terminate any number of virtual machines. You will also have the ability to control resource allocations to each instance, including the amount of memory or RAM, the number of CPU cores. You can even set up various types of networking capabilities. Lastly, let's explore virtualization security. When it comes to securing virtualized environments, several measures can be taken. One strategy is to limit the ability to create virtual machines altogether. Disabling virtualization in the BIOS or UEFI settings is a security measure used to prevent unauthorized or unintended virtual machine creation and execution on a system. Next, we have a Virtual Trusted Platform Module, or VTPM. This technology is used in virtualized environments to provide security functions similar to a physical TPM. The Virtual Trusted Platform Module enables the creation and management of a virtual TPM instance within virtual machines, allowing them to benefit from TPM functionality without requiring physical TPM hardware. This technology enhances security by enabling features such as secure boot and hardware-based encryption within the guest operating system. Even with all this security in place, the primary security concern facing a virtualized environment is an attack known as virtual machine escape. This is a security vulnerability in virtualized environments where an attacker gains unauthorized access to the host system or hypervisor from within a guest virtual machine. This exploit allows the attacker to break out of the confines of the virtual machine and execute malicious code or access sensitive information on the host system. Virtual machine escape vulnerabilities pose a significant security risk as they can potentially compromise the integrity and security of the entire virtualized environment. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more great content.